Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we discuss the rise of the Red Corsairs, why the return of Jaghatai Khan could be needed now more than ever. General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, a few days ago I was browsing through the latest Chaos Space Marine Codex, and it really struck me how prominent Huron Blackheart has become. Now, there's been no real change or advancement in the lore, so don't worry, you haven't missed something. But it felt like a reaffirming of just how great a threat the Red Corsairs have become. How truly dangerous Blackheart's power is. And immediately on reading it, it dawned on me just how desperately the White Scars need Jaghatai back. How surely only their Primarch can help them defeat the growing might of the Corsairs. Now, if you're one of the people out there a little confused on why Huron Blackheart's power relates specifically to the White Scars, fear not, we'll have a little refresher. Chogoris, homeworld of the White Scars, is located within the Yasan sector, close in proximity to the warp rift known as the Maelstrom, a bastion of chaos akin to the Eye of Terror, dominated by Huron Blackheart's Red Corsairs. Now, in the days immediately before Cadia's destruction, the Red Corsairs emerged from the Maelstrom at the head of a huge force of traitor forces, no doubt sowing further destruction and confusion at the behest of Abaddon the Despoiler. This invasion force was vast, and it plunged into the Imperium with devastating speed. World after world was overwhelmed before they even knew what was happening. It was truly a frightening prospect for the Imperium in its own right, let alone the fact that it coincided with the War Master's 13th Black Crusade, the devastating events that were unfolding across the galaxy on the system of Cadia. With the ruinous powers assaulting the Imperium in force, the warp was ablaze. Refugees risked their lives in attempting to flee for Chogoris, the protection of the White Scars chapter. And the call went out for any and all sons of the Kargan to return home, for the White Scars were desperately undermanned. Most members of the chapter already abroad in the Imperium fighting elsewhere. However, it simply wouldn't be enough, for the forces of Blackheart would descend upon Chogoris in their tides, and the homeworld of Jaghatai Khan himself would feel the touch of traitors. The forces of the White Scars present fought for all their worth, but it wasn't enough. Blackheart's forces swept across Chogoris' plains, and as Cadia fell elsewhere, the skies above them erupted into fire, and demons now swelled the Corsairs' forces. Ultimately, Chogoris was saved only by the return of Chapter Master Jubal Khan, followed by 3rd Company Captain Corsaro Khan, as the battle raged around their fortress monastery, Quan Zu. The bulk of Blackheart's forces withdrew from the world, as the White Scars finally gained the initiative. From there, the war has continued to rage, the arrival of the Indomitus Crusade and Primaris reinforcements giving the White Scars some much needed aid. And even with the capture and torture of their chapter master Jubal, they have continued to take the fight to the enemy where they can. It is undoubtedly an uphill struggle, but the Scars continue to fight. Now, on the face of it, the Scars successfully defended their homeworld, and the war to drive back Huron's forces has begun. But it may not be quite so straightforward. Firstly, the realities of the White Scars' success on Chogoris may not be all it appears. as even with the return of their chapter bringing much needed reinforcements, it still very easily may not have been enough. There's a very clear passage in the previous edition White Scars Codex supplement that sheds an interesting light onto the White Scars rally. Still, the traitor forces might have carried the day, for their reserves poured in from all across Chagoris in answer to this fresh challenge. Yet it was in this darkest hour that the Nocturnus Eterna lifted over Chagoris, and with it the energies of the warp temporarily receded. Many of Blackheart's demonic allies flickered and faded, and seeing that he faced a far less certain battle than he had expected, the Tyrant of Badab elected to withdraw, leaving renegade warbands rampaging across Chagoris. Blackheart and his elite Red Corsairs fell back to conquered strongholds elsewhere in the Yasan sector. The galaxy was rent, the age of chaos was nigh, and Huron Blackheart knew he had ample time to draw out the conquest of the Warhawks' homeworld. So for all the glory of the return of Corsaro, the actuality is Huron withdrew his main elite forces willingly, realizing with the loss of the demons it wasn't going to be such a one-sided demolition, and the Scars would at least make a fight of it, which was something he ultimately simply chose to avoid. Perhaps the key phrase for me here is the energies of the warp temporarily receded, that even with the Emperor's Astronomicon flaring back into life, it still only bides the White Scars' time, that Huron was content to wait, knowing he now dominates the sector. It really does paint the White Scars' current predicament in a very grim light, especially so when we consider that's from their own codex. But then we move on to the latest Chaos Space Marine Codex, which for me really reaffirmed how much more Huron Blackheart has to truly bring to this war. Firstly, with the Immaterium's flood across the galaxy, Huron's ability to traverse the galaxy has become easier than ever, and it's actually seen him acquire territory, now deep within Imperium Nihilus. A world by the name of Tyrant's Gate is entirely under his control, and it's actually become a bastion for traitor forces across the Dark Imperium. Considering he's done this all the while still dominating the Yasan sector war, that is really saying something, and it really highlights how quite scarily for the Imperium, and the White Scars in particular, he has so much more to bring to the table. And in that vein, there's a very prominent reminder that Huron has a Blackstone fortress at his disposal, gifted to him by Abaddon the Despoiler himself. What's more, that appears to have been largely absent during the Red Corsairs' invasion of the Yasan sector. As we know, the Blackstone Fortress was involved in Guilliman's Terran Crusade, which was happening around the same time as Blackheart launched his invasion. Now, during the returned Guilliman's initial travel to the Throne World, he was captured within the Maelstrom and imprisoned aboard Huron's Blackstone Fortress, eventually escaping, as we know, and completing his journey to Terra. However, considering we know when this transpired, and the lack of mention regarding the Blackstone Fortress in the war for Chagoris, I think it's highly likely Huron has yet to bring this to the war, keeping it in reserve within the Maelstrom. This means that is an almighty advantage Huron has yet to use, and really helps to explain why he would be so confident in withdrawing from Chagoris, when in reality he could have still won. He simply didn't want to fight the prolonged conflict. So, we have the Red Corsairs claiming new resources and territory, all the while prosecuting their invasion of the Yasan sector, still as far as we know dominating that sector. And we have the prospect of a Blackstone fortress still yet to enter the field of play. The more you look at the war for the Yasan sector, the more the reality becomes a very bleak situation indeed for the White Scars chapter. One the more I think about, the more I can't help but feel their fate really rests on the return of their Primarch. Would the return of Jaghatai give the White Scars a sudden boost of numbers and resources? No. Would it in some way reduce the power that Huron Blackheart can bring to bear? No. But what it would do is give the White Scars one of the greatest military commanders to ever bestride the galaxy. A commander who would seize the initiative and never let it go. It would give them most probably the greatest warrior in the galaxy, who can rip to pieces greater demons with his bare hands, and go toe to toe with his demon elevated brothers, and win. Jaghatai Khan would be enraged at the sight of Chagoris defiled by the enemy, and any trace of the enemy still left upon the world would be utterly annihilated. He would assess the situation and realize Huron himself is the heartbeat of the enemy, and I have no doubt he would make a beeline straight for him. Jaghatai may not be able to confront a Blackstone fortress head on, but he knows how to hunt his foe. He knows how to surprise and confuse the enemy. There is nothing and no one Huron Blackheart could call upon to counter the Warhawk of Chagoris. And with the odds so overwhelming against the White Scars, we do really need to ask, what other hope is there? Does the fate of the Sons of Chagoris truly rest on the return of their Primarch? Because for me, the more I look at it, the more I see only the odds being further stacked against them. But as always everyone, what do you think? Like me, do you feel the fate of the White Scars is truly resting more than ever on the return of Jaghatai himself? Considering we know where he is located, is it time for Jaghatai to return to the fold, to bring the hope back to the Imperium? When it comes to those ruinous powers and the ascension of Huron Blackheart, is he really beginning to establish his prominence as second only to Abaddon, with large chunks of a sector within Imperium Sanctus under his control, with worlds being claimed within Imperium Nihilus as well? Has the time come that Huron Blackheart is truly beginning to rival the traitor legions of old? Will his attention be turned to Imperium Nihilus, or is the second invasion of Chagoris about to begin? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow, and if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. With that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.